In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on June the 21st, 2019, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made a part of the minutes of this meeting, and I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And Mayor Colombo?
Here.
All members present?
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from June 10th regular and the closed session minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. All in favor?
Scott, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, committee members. Just one thing tonight, just a request out of our Public Works Department for our Clean Communities Coordinator, it's Bill McDaniels. There's an upcoming class to continue his accreditation and to obtain certification. 3 different dates, August 8th, 15th, and 22nd. On the August 8th date, it's to gain 2 CEUs or continuing education units so he can gain the certification. And then the other 2 dates will give him 18 CEUs for, it's a requirement on every 2 years that he has to have certain number of credits in training. In this case 24. So the request is, this is a $300 registration fee for all 3 days to
300 total or 300?
300 total for per person, yes. And it's just billing. So just requesting permission.
Where's it at?
It's part of Rutgers. It's a Rutgers extension class.
So you need approval?
Is it at Brunswick?
You have a conflict, Kobe.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. So
And I'll make a motion to approve the training.
I wouldn't move vote on.
Second.
Sorry.
Okay. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Abstain.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 4 in favor.
And that is all.
Wow. All right. Ms. Young. All
Nothing to report this evening, sir. Thank you.
right. Daniel.
Nothing at this time. We do have a couple contract negotiation personnel matters for closed session.
Paul.
Thank you. I wanted to update you on a couple of projects. First, they've been working on Harbor Road, trying to get that project buttoned up as far as the Parkways contractor. They did the base course paving today, so now it's kind of looking like back to a road. They're going to do the finished course paving tomorrow, and by the end of the week, they should have installed the rest of the guide rail, line striping, and some topsoiling, and have that road back in shape so the residents can enjoy the rest of their summer and years to come without any more impact from the Parkways contractor.
They've graded, the parking lot's graded and...
They're going to do it before they leave. They're going to do another fine grade on Cove Road and the parking lot just to kind of leave it the way they found it.
So I rode there yesterday morning, down to the end of Harbor Road, made the turn and came back. So they're going to the paving's going on now?
Yes.
Where the dirt road, it's only up to the certain part of Harbor Road, right?
Yeah, where Cove Road turns off, it's going just beyond there.
Okay.
Correct.
And the parking lot looked like they had at least flattened it out and made it, more hard so that the cars could, and you say they're going to do that again, to grade it again?
Yeah, once they move all their heavy equipment out of there, they'll grade everything out before they leave.
Okay. And do we have, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but as I rode down, we had a sailboat that's beached down there.
The Marine Police unit was out there to to make identification of it and to try to alert the owner of the boat. I
Yeah,
don't
'cause
know
it's
what
on
the
its-
status of it, but I know
it's-
Marine Police was down there.
And you know what, it looked at first that they were trying to make repairs, because it's kind of leaning on its side, and I wasn't, but, you know, the more I thought about it, you know, kids could get in there and everything else, so I just want to make sure that we're on top of it.
I think the anchorage came loose and it came ashore during those heavy winds we had
That's what
on
was
Thursday.
Okay.
So it was one of the ones moored out there.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a pretty big boat, I mean, it's
Yeah, there's
probably
some nice
25,
size ones
30
sitting
feet,
out
so, okay.
The other thing is, the county had started last week the striping of Commonwealth Avenue and Lance Avenue in Whale Beach area. They've completed probably 90% of the striping. There's still a little couple areas that they haven't striped because of parked cars and just getting in there. And then they still are waiting for their sign vendor to come in and place additional signs. If you've been out there, Sea Isle City put up some temporary no parking signs to prevent people from parking along the new bike route, which is kind of on the west side of the road, at least for most of the portion in Sea Isle and Whale Beach. I know it's a little confusing because as you go into Sea Isle, I think maybe at 22nd Street or 20th Street, the path actually flips to the others. They have it flip-flopped and then running down the east side of the street alongside the homes and swap sides with sides of parking. So they still have signage to put up, and the project's still undergoing.
So they're going to put signs up that gives the right of way or
They're-
pedestrian crossing
They're
signs?
going to
or-
put pedestrian crossing signs at each crossing, as well as, I think they're going to have a permanent sign, as well as a sign that goes out along the center line at each one of the crossings, as well as a delineation saying, that's a pedestrian bike, it's really a pedestrian path along our west shoulder of the road.
Did they give a reason, Paul, for crossing the bike path from one side to the other?
That's a county project, and we didn't really look at it because it was in the Sea Isle section of the project, so I didn't really look at how the project was affecting Sea Isle, because that's in the Sea Isle City jurisdiction, so I didn't,
They're going to have people getting squashed down there?
the county and Sea Isle City Police are going to have to deal with those issues.
So what about, where are we at with the parking lot that they were building?
The parking lot, there's kind of two portions of the parking lot. I'll say the southerly section of the parking lot, they were placing stone down today. They anticipate having most of all the stone down in the other section by the end of the week. And they should be tying it into the roadway so that, they hope to have it open and available for use by the weekend, is what their hopes are. The county tomorrow is going to be adopting an ordinance for establishing no parking on the west side of Commonwealth Avenue. Once that ordinance has been adopted, they'll send a copy over to us, and we'll have to do a companion ordinance to that just to make it effectuated in our ordinance book.
Give me a copy of it.
So are we comfortable that we think this is going to be ready for the July 4th? I mean, July 1st is Monday, a week from today, right? I mean,
Yes.
we're talking like a week and a half. We're confident that they're going to have that done by then?
At the pre-construction meeting, their schedule was to have the signs up this week, yes.
Tell you what, it looks like it's marked out. I went down through there the other day.
I drove past it. It's very confusing right now, but I'm waiting. I'm not going to pass judgment until all the signs and everything's completed, so. I mean, I'm obviously very, sensitive to the area. I mean, I go back and forth there all the time, but a little crazy right now.
Yes. That's all I had for this evening.
Anything on Hope Corson? Weren't they supposed to start by now, or?
Of course, in that road has been bid. I think they're waiting to have a pre-construction meeting
Okay,
for it. I know it's anticipating to start within the next month.
okay.
Paul, are they going to put the rumble strips in down the middle of the course? I know they did in
No.
Dennis Township side.
No.
And I went by it yesterday and today, and a couple of cars in front of me were running down it, and the houses were 20 feet from the street edge, and it was like obnoxious. So that's why I was just asking.
Based on our correspondence, they're not anticipating putting up rumble strips down Hope, or Corson Tavern is what you're talking about, correct?
Yeah, Corson Tavern.
Not Hope Corson.
Okay.
Thank you.
Barbara, Paul, you guys have your signs backwards.
Yeah.
Dan and Barb have theirs backwards as well.
Somebody's playing games on us.
I looked over, I said, Paul, and I saw Barbara's sign over there. You're
These
over
ours
here.
are half right.
Good thing I know who you guys are, you know? You're not new.
Young and young over there, so we're good.
We're very
Nothing
progressive.
this evening.
Okay. Committeeman Coggins.
Nothing on a revenue and finance nature. However, I got a call from a person on Braden Drive, and they had contacted animal control today because of a number of raccoons that have been sighted in their neighborhood. I think there must have been a raccoon there that had a litter, and there's a lot of young ones. The first answer they received from the person on the phone was, well, there's raccoons all over the township, there's nothing we can do about it. Now, I just don't think that's an appropriate answer coming from our animal control people. Subsequently, I will say, however, the resident who called received a call back that said, well, we're going to come out there and take a look and try to talk to somebody, and somebody did finally come out today and have a look around, and they said, well, at this point we don't know what we can do about it, but we'll try to get back to you. But I just kind of think we might be able to be better prepared at giving residents some kind of a definitive answer.
Our animal control usually only deals with domestic stuff, but there is people that deal with critter control for wildlife,
Okay,
and they should be available to hand out information so people can contact them so they can have their stuff taken out of their neighborhood.
okay, so the critter control type thing is not actually part of our animal control services then?
No, we do
Okay.
dogs, cats, domesticated animals. Sometimes it's horses, pigs, goats, but it's primarily dogs and cats.
Okay,
Typically, animal control will pass that information on to the resident.
you know, it could have been a case where somebody new picked up the phone, I don't know, it kind of struck me as a little bit rough the way we talk to a resident as opposed to, you know, trying to give them the best information. After all, we're in the service business, so.
Yes, well,
Plus, there's a lot of wild animals that are coming out of the volcano.
Barbara, if you could call,
I'll reach out.
yeah, thank you, Tony.
Sure.
Committeeman Young.
Again, 4th of July celebration next Thursday, beginning at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening. We're still short on volunteers, and whatever we can do, I think as of right now, we're down to 2 employees only that have asked to work it, and I need about 5 people minimum to be able to park cars and direct traffic and just be available to help with the setup and the tear downs. So whatever we can do with that, I mean, I know Rich said he'd be there, but if any of the committeemen can come in and give us a couple hours in the beginning to help out get cars parked and stuff, that's the critical time. Barb, have you had any luck with the mosquito control? I understand that they said they'd come out and look at it, but for years they've come out and sprayed it for us.
They were doing they were testing the area. They had an epidemiologist coming out to test the area to see whether or not it was necessary. I have not heard back from them since then.
All right, if anybody has any connections at the county level, I'd appreciate a phone call to go out. I mean, they've come in and sprayed our facilities for the last at least 4 years that I know, including Codwell Park when we needed it. And here we are, you know, not a week and 2 days away from our event, and they seem like they're balking at coming out and giving us anything this year. And anybody's been out there when the mosquitoes are hot and trying to watch fireworks, it's not a real comfortable evening. So, if anybody has an idea who they can talk to, we'd appreciate that. I'd like to say congratulations to a township kid, Brandon Lashley, who was 3 years ago, he was the MVP of the Babe Ruth World Series team, standout baseball player and pitcher, shortstop for Ocean City High School. Came out of our programs, was the Press Area Baseball Player of the Year this year. If I recall, he batted .451. And he's going to a college up in Long Island, but a full ride to play baseball up there and pitch. So it says a lot for the program that we have here when these kids can go beyond that point. And he's even had some professional teams look at him at this point. So again, congratulations to Brandon and the Lashley family. I did have phone calls again this weekend, and I went down to try to catch the kids of running their dirt bikes and their quads on the fields at Amanda's Field. So that's something we just going to have to get serious about, whatever we're going to do with it, whether it's going to be security cameras or whatever. John, was there any damage down there this weekend, you know?
I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen anything.
All right, I got a text message Saturday night or last night, and I went down, and they were gone by the time I got there, but I don't know what we can do about it, but it just seems a
I
shame.
know the state police have been very proactive with it,
I know.
sending letters out to areas, residents that have had problems, to the parents, and just to say there is a problem, and it's been very positively recognized. So my recommendation, just like before, is if you see something and it's a problem, say something and
Yeah.
report it to the state police.
I know, I've had some parents, they're active with quads, and they go all up and down the East Coast, and they know a lot of the kids are riding, and they've been putting a warning out also for me, and just telling them, come on, knock it off, you know. So that hopefully we can get on top of that a little bit before the damage is there. Barb, we did take care of the petting zoo and the pony rides for the 4th. I guess we're going to have 2 blow-up houses events going on for the kids too, as well as live music and food vendors and our normal. So it'll roughly be 5 to 9:30 for the live music, as well as petting zoo, and the pony rides will probably be done at 8:30 at the latest to get them out of there before the fireworks start. So, but again, we're having issues, and I'm not sure where we're going to go with this. It seems more for the 4th than anything. Getting vendors as well as volunteers to come in and work this. It's not a big day, and many of them seem to go elsewhere. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but right now there's 3 of us basically putting this all together, and it's getting a little disheartening, to say the least. So I'm looking for help wherever we can get it. That's all I have, Rich.
Okay.
Might be a good way for the new employees that are going to be coming aboard tonight to get to know some of the other people in the
Yeah.
area
I mean,
by volunteering for something like
the
that.
4th seems to be the toughest date.
Yeah.
Because it's a family day. Whether maybe we look in, from this point on, maybe moving it to the Saturday following the 4th. So it's a weekend, not a, you know, they can still celebrate their 4th, and that's what a lot of the other communities have done, and that's the reason they're doing it. So I just, to throw it out there, I don't want to see it to go downhill from what we built.
So is there an opportunity to get a few more public works people? I'm not asking you to volunteer, I mean, certainly we'll,
For the 4th?
yeah.
Well, we have it posted. I know they only have 2 so far.
We could probably extend it to the rescue squad personnel. Some of the part-timers want to pick up an extra shift.
Right now, we don't have part-timers, that's the problem.
No, but
We're talking about
rescue squad.
Oh, all right, rest of
personnel from other departments.
Because what you need is bodies to help
Yes.
move cars and stuff. So, you know, it's certainly something that we should support.
I will add that we do have the sheriff's department this year, as in past years, plus they have their Explorer contingent.
But they don't actively take part in parking, you know, pushing the cars and, you know, parking and all that kind of stuff. They're there really for security purposes, and, you know, they do their job.
The
and they're
Explorers are, but they are managed by our public works people.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what the answer is. Seems that the car show, we have a ton of vendors and the security that we need and the things that we need there. It's the smaller events, the Easter egg hunt, the 4th of July. And when we started doing these, we had, 25 people roughly that were volunteering from every organization in the school, and now it's down to myself, Barb, Larry, and Barb's people in her office. That's basically it, and Scott. So we're having trouble getting the civic organizations involved, or the business association. It's a pretty big undertaking to put these programs together. But I don't want to see it go down, and where we're not putting these out there again. So whatever we can decide to do, or, you know, any help we can get.
All right, well, let's put that forward to see what we can come up with.
Other than that's it. I think that's all I have, Rich.
Edward,
I have nothing to report, sir.
Committeeman Corson,
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor.
and I have nothing either. So let's move on to the resolutions.
Item number 1. honoring Janet McCrossan on the occasion of her retirement from the Township of Upper.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Gleason?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 2, authorizing a contract with John E. Halbruner and Highland Design Group for engineering consulting services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr has a conflict on it, right?
So do I. Correct.
You do too?
For the job he's hired for.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
Still have a quorum. We're good.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Abstain? Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 3 in favor. Item number 3, authorizing a contract with Anthony Priest for video recording services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Anthony, what would you have done if we didn't approve that?
Shut the camera off.
I'll try to put you on the spot.
The rest of the meeting is going to be video.
That's it, we're done.
Fade to
Good night,
black.
all.
Item number 4, authorizing a building permit fee refund to Chris Robin for 37 Killdeer Hill Road in Upper Township.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Motion is carried. 5, authorizing building and electrical permit fees refund to Vivint Solar for 8 St. Martin's Place in Upper Township.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 6, appointing Tara Mathers as a full-time employee in the office of the municipal court.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 7, appointing additional 2019 season beach patrol personnel.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 8, appointing Sean Ferrier as a full-time employee to the Upper Township Department of Public Works.
And I'll ask, he's a distant relative of mine, I'll abstain just to make sure we stay on the
Yes.
up and up with everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Abstain.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Item number 9, appointing William Evans III as a full-time employee to Upper Township Department of Public Works.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 10, appointing William McDaniels as Clean Communities Coordinator for the Township of Upper.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Abstain.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Item number 11, appointing Craig Reeves as Superintendent of Public Works.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 12, authorizing the mayor and/or municipal engineer to sign and submit an application to the NJDEP for the replacement of Putnam Avenue bulkhead pursuant to NJDEP rules.
Motion authorized.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 13, authorizing the payment of a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection permit fee for the reconstruction of Putnam Avenue bulkhead from the 2018 Capital Improvement Bond Ordinance.
Motion authorized.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 14, the contact person, appointing the contact person for the employment practices liability attorney consultation services of the Atlantic County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. and that's Sharon Taggart, our personnel officer.
Motion to appoint?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 15, authorizing the installation of a storm manhole, replacement of a storm line through the bulkhead on Sumner Avenue in the amount of $16,875 with funds from the 2018 capital improvement bond ordinance.
Motion authorized?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 16, adopting revisions to the Upper Township Supervisor's Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual and Employee Handbook.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 17, authorizing the use of Amanda's Field and Tyler Davis Field Complex by Jersey Premier Soccer LLC, Global Premier Soccer, and Neil Holloway for a soccer tournament on Saturday, June 29, 2019, and Sunday, June 30th, 2019. And this just formalizes and outlines all the requirements that go along with it.
Yes, the only
Just
additional we had on here, Barb gave me the paperwork on tonight, is in our ordinance, we can require a township employee to be present for all the special events. And I've requested from this point on, from any outside programs or any major program that goes on at Amanda's, would have a minimum of one employee for each day that they're there. Somebody that can work on the bathrooms, understands the irrigation system in case it should go off. And we will be implementing that with GPS this year. And at the cost of, for 2 days, be an additional $1,041.76. We've had problems in the past where we haven't done this and had bathroom problems, or again, the irrigation head goes off and we're tracking people down on the weekend to go take care of the issue. This will give us added security. And I know Scott and I talked about it, he thoroughly agrees with it also. So we're going to make this a normal practice from this point on.
One quick question, looking at the dates, as close as they are to our Independence Day celebration, are we going to be putting too much stress on those fields out there with these two events back to back?
No, because 4th of July celebration, there's very little stress on the fields.
Okay.
It's spread out, mostly it's we're consolidated around the back refreshment stand for the band, as well as vendors. We'll be on the football field side for pony rides, and the rest of it is basically people sitting on the grass.
Okay.
So I think, and John agrees, that you don't see an additional stress or anything else that would prohibit this. So, again, there should be no issue with it. With that, a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 18, Susan McAfee request for the Township of Upper to accept privately owned property, Block 16, lots 20 and 23, Block 26, Lot 50, and Block 638, Lot 14. And Mr. Dietrich has reviewed these particular...
They're all vacant properties. The two of them are up in the Marshallville section off of Route 50. They both have wetlands on portions or all of the properties, so they're not really worth it, and they can't be developed upon. The other one is actually out in front of Culver Park. We've actually been maintaining that area for several years now, as far as removing dead trees and brush. And
Does this go along with the Braverman property?
this is the Braverman property.
It's all right, good. All right.
Yes, she's,
Something I've been working on over the last couple of years, that's why I'm asking.
yes.
We're going to need two
Oh.
things. One is going to be a report from Paul, or if he thinks it needs to be an outside person with respect to the condition of the property, that there aren't any concerns, there aren't any environmental issues, number one. And then secondly, we got to do the title search to make sure that the donation's accurate.
Great.
Those are the only conditions that you want to move forward. We'll move forward with those and then bring it back to you for resolution. You do have an ordinance that covers this and allows you to take
We
it
should
off.
definitely move forward.
It saves us from
It's been a
tax
long-
lien
it's been a long time
foreclosures.
coming, so at least now we can maintain it. We got the approval, I think, 2 years ago, Paul, from Bob Braverman, to go in and clean it and cut the brush down and rake it, now we can actually get it looking the way it should for one of the better parks in the county.
We just need a motion to move forward.
Move forward.
Motion to move forward.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
There are 4 municipal department reports: Animal Control, Clerk's Office, Finance Office, Engineers Report for the FEMA Community Rating System, MJPPI update. All of those reports will be available upon request at the Township Clerk's Office tomorrow morning. I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So at this time, we are going to open it up for the public. If the public would like to comment, and if you have anything to address the Township Committee with, now's the time to do so. I would ask that you go to the podium, state your name and your address and your reason for addressing the Township Committee.
Hi, I'm Cindy Kimberly, and we live at 404 Holly Drive in Memora. And the reason we're here today is because it took 6 weeks for us to get our grass clippings and everything cleaned up. I called the county several times, asked them when they were going to pick it up. It was last year. We got them picked up every Friday. It was for 5 weeks. And I called again. They promised me they would be there that Friday. They still did not come. And so they finally came after 6 weeks. We had 30-some bags of leaves and trash and cuttings, plus all our neighbors had all theirs. We also had, you have April and October for branch collection. Well, there's a lot of neighbors that are senior citizens like us and are not there during April. We don't come home until May. And we get all these leaves and branches off of our trees and stuff. And I called to find out to get a special pickup. It wasn't just me. There was like 6 or 7 families had sticks out there and needed them cleaned up. And I called to see if they'd come and pick them up special, because other counties will come out and pick when the whole neighborhood has a lot of sticks and branches and stuff. They said no, they would not come out, but they did come out the next day and give everybody citations. So we're very concerned that we pay our taxes and we can't get our brush picked up, our lawn cuttings and stuff, and then they need to change these dates, add a couple more dates for branches, because people don't start cleaning up their yards most of the time until after April, May, and you're picking up in April.
I'd like to maybe make a suggestion and respond to you as well. One of the reasons that makes it a little bit more difficult for the township to pick up your vegetative waste is the fact that the county recycling center requires separation of leaves versus separation of grass versus separation of brush and sticks and whatnot, which requires multiple passes. Now, personally, I think there's a better way to do this. I would recommend that the township look into collecting all of it together in one collection vehicle as vegetative waste, and it can be disposed of at Atlantic County. It's a little bit longer stem time to dispose of it, yet they're taking all the material in one load. So you're not making 3 passes to take 3 different commodities, you're making 1 pass. I think maybe we should look into this.
We may have a problem with the MUA agreements that we have. We may have to use them exclusively.
I don't know, I don't necessarily agree with that, and the reason I'm going to tell you is because Ocean City is under the same type of agreement that Upper Township is.
No, we're a host community.
They're not a
we
host
get paid
community.
But I think the suggestion of changing the date for brush pick is really, makes a lot of sense.
We are discussing that right now, correct?
That, and being more timely about picking up our grass and cuttings. 6 weeks is a little long.
There is a schedule for the pickup of the brush.
Right, but
April and October.
What's that? Yes, but we have 65 square miles that we cover. The brush piles that I had to respond to this past week were incredible. You wouldn't believe the size of the brush piles that are out there.
Oh, yes, I would.
The manpower, the man hours, John, that our people are out there picking up the brush is getting to the point where it's eating up our manpower. It's eating up our resources. On that note, we have to look at the size of the piles that are being put out there. We have to look at other ways of collecting this refuge and stuff that's out there, but it has gotten to the point where it's a daunting task for our Public Works Department to deal with the brush.
And we just hired 2 people tonight. We
Yes.
have had a shortage of manpower. And
But I do think it's pertinent to look at switching it from April to at least May, because I do think that there are a lot of individuals that don't even start thinking about their outside until, sometime in May. Admittedly, we have been behind in the leaf pickup or the grass and paper bag, because I too had mine out there for, many weeks, and I realized that we were stressed with a lot of other things, but it's not just one area. We were behind, and we're finally catching up.
And that's something.
But the brush pickup, see, our problem is that people are now cutting trees down and putting out so much material. Used to be, if you just had some branches that fell out in the wintertime and logs, people would put it out. But I mean, literally, there are piles and piles of things where people are literally cutting down trees and kind of taking advantage of the situation. So
We have houses where they're pulling shrubs out and putting them out into the street, so.
The whole shrub.
That's what, yeah, exactly, the whole shrub, roots and all, everything right out into the street. And unfortunately, it's taking up a lot of time, and on our end, it's becoming a manpower and a cost issue, with the amount of time that we're spending out there doing it. I understand what your issue is, but on our end, we're gonna have to try to curb the behavior as far as how much is being put out there.
And we should probably look at how we pick up the compost.
That's
We
correct.
should probably look at, we have the 2 cans, we have the one on trucks. We can get a green can for leaf and grass clippings.
And that might be a good suggestion, because then it could be done even on a weekly basis.
We have a new superintendent coming in, and I think we need to revisit this.
But I think that I'm certainly in agreement that we should at least give it another month on the pickup in the spring, because yes, there are a lot of folks that do wait until, it's not like April is nice here. Very rarely do we have really nice weather in April, and so people wait for it gets warmer and they come back in May or whatever, so we'll address that.
thank you. I have one more thing. One of the neighbors called about some potholes on Park and Church Street, and they came and they filled out part of the potholes, but they didn't come all the way down Park, where there's a great big huge pothole at Laurel and Park, and did not fill that pothole in. So if they'd just come down Park a little further, they would have realized that's one of the potholes they were talking about.
We'll have that looked at tomorrow. I know they're out there now. They were out there today.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the Township Committee? Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Eileen Barrett, and I live at 6 East Seacliff in Strathmere. And I thought we had a very dynamic meeting with the last Township Committee about our issues in Strathmere. But then last week there was a planning board meeting, and the ordinance issue was back on their schedule. and it appeared that there's great resistance to the decisions that were rendered at the last Township Committee meeting. And so I'm asking you to give some consideration to perhaps having some kind of a meeting at the firehouse where perhaps the mayor and the committee might be able, we could bring the residents together to communicate about this ordinance and the things that are being proposed, so that, again, we're not going to have the same problem that we had before. So that's...
Well, one of the issues is that I don't have jurisdiction over the planning board, okay? So it has to go back to them first before it comes back to the Township Committee.
Okay.
So until such time as whatever comes out from the planning board comes to the Township Committee, it really wouldn't probably be appropriate for me, or, you know, to have some sort of town hall like we had last year with the bulkheads. Once, you know, and I know they're in the process of putting some additional people on that subcommittee, and, you know, once they get to a level where it looks like they have some sort of draft document, then, you know, maybe we can have the discussion. But at this point, it really wouldn't be appropriate, because I'd be like leading the planning board as to what they should be doing, and I don't really have the authority to do that.
Okay. I was just wondering if there might be a method that the residents would be abreast of what is being...
Well, I mean, one of the things that they could do is come to the planning board meetings, you know, and listen to the discussion. And that's on the third Thursdays of the month.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to push any of our responsibilities off, but really that's where it needs to stay until that draft is, and then it comes back to us, and that's why we had the meeting. You know, I will certainly try and make an effort to do something like that once we get to that point. It's a little premature to say yes to that at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, I thank you for your addressing the Township Committee. It's always good to hear from our residents. So at this time, I will close the public portion and turn to Mr. Coggins and entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are a contract negotiation for shared services with Ocean City, for the Beasley's Point boat ramp access, and for Beasley's Point Park improvements, and also personnel. I also include in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Longo?
Yes. Hope everyone has a great evening tonight. Please drive safely home.